Hello everyone, Mark here, and today we will talk about authority, mastery, and Steve Jobs. This video is basically inspired by a question that I received recently, a few weeks ago or so. That basically was just a plain, what's your authority to speak on matters of Daito-ryu, basically, right? And I thought that it would be interesting to not only answer that question, but basically get to a broader point I've been trying to emphasize all the way through last year on this channel. Now, to answer, first of all, to answer the question, do I have any sort of official authority to speak on matters of Daito-ryu? No. I do not have any academic background that's relevant to the matter. As far as the tradition is concerned, I do not have any sort of credentials, licenses, rank, whatever you want to call it, that basically would give me that kind of title, so to speak, to say that I speak on behalf of the tradition. And if you go on any of the social media platforms where I have a presence, and at this point that's actually quite a few, I'm here on YouTube, I'm on Facebook. There's also the original blog on Medium. I have started to post on Instagram recently. That also goes to Twitter, and every once in a while I'll be on Reddit as well. Everywhere, actually Reddit may be the exception because I haven't written anything about my background except that I'm a Koryu practitioner. But that accepted, all the other platforms where I have a presence, what are you going to read in the description? Practitioner of Daito-ryu, and that's really all that matters. Now, if you're interested about, what my actual not pedigree, but my background in terms of practice is, well, I've been practicing since 2007, 2009 is when I started to practice, permanently in Japan, if you will, after I basically moved here. But that's really all that matters. And the reason why that's all that really matters is that you shouldn't take anything that I say for granted. Not only anything that I say, but anything that anyone says. It's the internet. And even before the internet, when we're speaking of, publications like books, magazines, and so on, VHS, a lot of this stuff, wasn't really based on sound research necessarily. Not only that, but it's kind of removed from the actual source of information and knowledge. It's good to basically be able to take a book for granted, but at the same time you have to do the groundwork yourself, whether you're interested in the history or whether you want to make sure that your practice is sound and you don't care so much for history. You have to go get the information for yourself. You have to imbue yourself in the tradition so to be able to, really kind of extract benefits from your practice. If you look at the content of this channel so far, meaning basically what I've released through 2021, basically, you'll notice basically two things that keep coming back over and over again that I try to hammer all the time. One, Daito-ryu is a tradition, first and foremost. Forget about martial arts, forget about, combative behavior and whatnot. It is a tradition, first and foremost. And number two, you need a broader understanding of the Japanese language and tradition, and Japanese language and culture to be able to gain a good understanding or hope to get to a better understanding of Daito-ryu as a tradition. And that would be true for any Koryu. Those are the 2 points that I've kept emphasizing. So much so that I have a series on the way right now about training in Japan. What are the last 2 episodes that I've released? Language and culture. They're really important things for you to be able to make up your own mind, to read and watch video contents from the instructors themselves in Japanese, and like the headmasters or whatever lineage you care for, and make your own opinion, make up your own mind. Steve Jobs said stay hungry, stay foolish, right? What he meant by that is, you're never done with your learning. I think there's also another aspect to that, which is you always have to suspect there's something else behind. You always have to think critically about the information that you're presented. Does it actually make sense? Does it connect with other circumstantial information that you've been able to gather through the years? Or is there something perhaps questionable about it? And if it's questionable, why is it questionable? What are the things that seems to be, what are the anomalies, basically, in the facts and information that you've been presented that seem not to fit? That's all really important if you hope to be able to make sure that your practice is authentic. There's a lot of cases where you're going to see some practices being undertaken, and if you have a little bit of experience in the tradition, you'll be able to see, well, and that's true for mainline as well, right? There's things that have been introduced more recently that are not traditionally part of the practice, but to be able to pinpoint who introduced that isn't useful information, because you'll be able to basically look at that person from a historical standpoint and contextualize what they were trying to get to with a given practice. So, some people will have the tendency, and to be quite honest, I was one of those people for the longest time, to say, well, the history doesn't really matter. All you have to care about is whether the practice actually works. But the problem is that at some point you're going to reach a point where the practice may or may not work, but you won't be able to know whether it's actually doing the thing it was meant to do in the first place. And for that, you have to understand where that practice to some degree comes from, or at least you need to be able to have access to an instructor that will be able to guide you through that. But even so, it's really helpful to be able to contextualize that yourself if you can. So, don't take for what I say for granted. Go do your homework, and that's kind of the point I've been trying to make since the beginning of this channel. I'm happy to provide information. I'm happy to let you know that I'm thinking, but I'm not really here to make you think. I'm here to just, give you the information, and you can go do your own thinking on your own. Most importantly, I'm hoping that I'm giving you the tools so that you can do your own research on your own and figure out what's what, and, hopefully end up with a more productive practice. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them down in the comments below. Thank you for your time, and until next time.